Only if there is a bandwidth problem, one should turn the camera off. On my end, there is no bandwidth problem. I've got 100 megabits per second.
Okay, sure. Wisdom is not a product of schooling, but of lifelong attempt to acquire it. A very warm welcome to everyone present here. I, Nivedita Vyas, welcome you all to this well of knowledge and learning. Let's together dive into the world of cybersecurity. To take this event further, I would like to introduce you all to our speaker for today's evening, Dr. Nalan Shalta sir. He is a senior member of IEEE and has an experience of about 50 years in the field of research in cybersecurity. So, before starting, I would request everyone to turn on their cameras for a picture.
I think people have joined and gone for a cup of tea or dinner. It's only 5 o'clock. It's dinner time for me, not for you guys. Okay, Saranya has turned on her camera. Okay, who else? Let's see. Shall I call by name? Aisha, Devika. I'm not going to give a lecture if I have all the cameras off. Then bye-bye to everybody. In my face-to-face classes, I would make sure I talk to each student. And now in online, oh, you're in college bus. Okay, Aisha. Oh, okay, thank you for joining from college bus. Oh, that might be the case. Many people are traveling after work. All right.
So we can take one picture at the end of the event. So
okay. Hopefully people reach home by then.
Yes, sir. So now, without any further ado, I would like to invite Sir to the dais.
Thank you. And I'll share my PowerPoint. While I have a PowerPoint to keep me on the track, but I don't, just talk to what's in the slide. It's already there. You can read it. I can share it. You can read it later if you want. So that's not important. What I usually like is to have an interactive session, share some life stories, where am I coming from? Nivedita, I've actually made it 50 years. It's not quite 50 years. I'm getting there. It will be 50 years since my graduation. I graduated from IIT Delhi in 1974. But yeah, I might look that old. So let's move on. And in the PowerPoint, I put a bit of my introduction. I'll go through it very quickly. I did my BTech PhD from IIT Delhi, BTech in 74, PhD in 84. In between, did work for Schlumberger. But in Australia, I've taught at Curtin University, which is in Perth, where I am right now. Murdoch University also in Perth, then Victoria University in Victoria, which is Melbourne, but had visiting positions at Florida Atlantic University, Karlstad University in Sweden, Aachen University in Germany, JP University in India as well, and been giving lots of lectures, etc. So the other thing I want to bring to your attention is if you go through this brief CV and more wider CV, I have not stuck to just doing the technical stuff. And I want to emphasize that for everybody, young academics, students, you must build a wider understanding of the world. And even within the tech stuff, rather than sticking to just one area. I originally was electrical engineer, my PhD was in power electronics, microprocessor control of three-phase cycle converter. But then moved on to computers after PhD when I came to Australia to parallel processing. Multimedia was coming in the early 90s. And I asked my head of the department, what is this thing multimedia? We need to find out. He said, you're going to find out and you're going to create. I created courses about multimedia. I wrote this textbook, Multimedia Information Networking, including applying IT to tourism. And this book, which I edited, Tourism Informatics. And Though I retired officially from Victoria University in 2014, but I keep working, and currently I am lead cloud instructor at Generation Australia, a fantastic NGO which is training people to be employed even after a break in their career. And that's a very important aspect of our societies in general. We don't say people, if they've had a break in career, that's the end of their career. So I'm very lucky I'm able to do that. Now, cybersecurity. As soon as you hear of cybersecurity, what do? I like to ask questions. Can you do ticks? How many have studied cybersecurity at uni or lectured on it? I don't know if this system has. In my classes, I ask people to give a tick mark, some mark reaction. I have only about 10 people in my screen. I don't see any ticks coming up. Saranya, can you give it a try? There's going. Yeah, thumbs up is going from Saranya. Anybody else who would like to give me that? If you have done cybersecurity, you have not studied. Okay, Emmanuel, that's good to know that. Okay, Anushka. Okay, that's a famous name. Not studied. Okay, many have not studied. But when you go to study at uni cybersecurity, you'll be talking about malware. You heard these terms: phishing, spear phishing, man-in-the-middle attack, denial of service, SQL injection, DNS attacks, and all of these. Well, you may be happy or unhappy. We are not going to do any of these today because we are looking at the human aspects of cybersecurity. And I'll talk about it, why it is important to focus on human aspects as well, apart from technical aspects. And most of my content is taken from a report by this agency, European Union's Agency for Network and Information Security. So I've given all the references end of the PowerPoint. You can grab it. I'll share with them. And then we'll always, at the end, what's the take-home message? What are the learning outcomes? We will talk about it. I've given this lecture earlier also to the Defense Department in India, because one of my past PhD students is a professor there. So there I did not have this. I added this recent cybersecurity breaches in Australia to show the importance of why we need to take it so seriously. And we'll come to that in the end. So the part one, which is taken from this report, so we'll look at scope of the review and some of their conclusions from behavioral science. So this is more humanistic, not technical. And then looking at the social science constructs they have used to dig into this, and various models which investigate attitudes and behaviors of people vis-a-vis cybersecurity. I'm sure all of you know at least what cybersecurity is, but is there a definition? We scientists always think in terms of definition. Well, we sort of understand what it is, but there is not exactly one definition we all follow. Oxford defines the state of being protected against the criminal or unauthorized use of electronic data, and so on and so forth. But ISO and other bodies have defined as the preservation of confidentiality. That is very important. My information, your date of birth, everything that you give to everybody you go log in, the first thing they ask you all these details, even Facebook and all these social media, they want to know everything about you. But can they protect that information? Well, unfortunately, not necessarily. Integrity. If somebody changes something, with Chat GPT, everybody's talking, you must have heard about, it can produce somebody looking just like you giving a lecture. Well, how are we going to cope with this technological capability that we are getting? And also availability of information when you need it. Is it available, or somebody is going to deny you from that. Only in our lecture today about Microsoft Azure cloud computing system we are working at and talking about at Generation Australia. Distributed denial of service came up. Another technical aspect. We looked at only technical aspect there. So what it does is you want to go to a website, somebody denies service to its users, they can't access the data. So all these things are happening on a daily basis. So now these definitions don't necessarily take full cognizance of human risk, but there is human risk. There is physical risk as well, of sabotage, of intelligence gathering by different bodies. Even industrial sabotage is there, people finding out about their competitor. So technical means of securing information we have been working on ever since we had computers, even before that, even from the telegraph days. I don't know how many of you seen Western movies. I don't know, I can't see your faces, you're not raising hand. You see American Western movies I have seen where somebody would climb up the old pole of telegraph and there are two wires and they could tap onto the wire, they could listen to the Morse code going through and decode the message. And how do you secure that message? The only way you could secure is codify it further because the lines are absolutely open. And today, again, you must be studying, if you're doing any IT course, all the information is going via wireless systems and anybody can tap onto those electromagnetic signals. So what do? They will grab them. We can secure them with codification. But to codify, we need to have things like password and other codes. Do they always work? The fact that we are having so many breaches, it means they're not always working. So why are they not working? So the human being, as we call it, the human error, and sometimes we call about that the weakest link in the chain determines the strength of a chain. And the human being turns out to be often the weakest link. Our technology has become so good, it doesn't fail often, but human beings do. So how do we study them? So this organization and in this paper, they looked at psychology, sociology, ethnography, which is to do with people, their culture, their customs, habits, anthropology, sort of similar, but human behavior, human biology, and human biology itself, and behavioral economics. So what is the effect of above factors? So these are some areas which, if you're all technical people, I doubt if you have studied formally. People who study in US, they have to do breadth subjects. At IIT, we had economics, we had, this is so many years ago, I did my BTech 69 to 74, we did have a few what we call humanities subject, but it didn't go very wide. I don't know how it is back home in India. There is a need, if you have not studied formally in your class on your own, to study these subjects. Today, information is abundant on the net, but go and grab good information in books, etc., or possibly good books online, not just Googling everything. So there are socio-technical perspectives of this in terms of policy. How does an organization set its policy for people to follow? Having very strict policy is good or not? How system engineers, designers, developers, requirements engineers, and ultimately end users use security measures. But in this study, they did not look at the attackers and adversaries as to what is their psychology. We're looking at the psychology of the users. That's a totally different topic. Why do attackers, why do they do this? I sometimes think, people have to be very technically savvy to do all these attacks. Why are they using their knowledge for this? But we know it's happening. So If we go way back to 75, Salzer and Schroeder, they established 10 principles for designing security. There are technical aspects, but 3 principles from behavioral science. What they said is security mechanism must be psychologically acceptable. People who have to use it, they should be comfortable with it. Human factors and economics should be thought about, and we should use as few distinct security mechanisms as possible. Earlier we used to use only password. This is enough. But today we know, even I got a message from Google that some password I had used on many websites, it has been compromised. Go and change them. Now we get a one-time OTP to be more sure. That needed to be added to it. Another layer has been added, but should we add a third, fourth layer? Should we also have full face recognition every time, thumb recognition? Should we do it? The principle is do the minimum which will assure security. Otherwise, it becomes onerous. More of it is coming. I'm probably preempting what's coming. We need to look at the fundamentals of crime science. Why do people do and why sometimes they don't do? The crime science says people, when they make an effort to do crime, the benefit should be greater than the effort required to do it. And that's how you secure your house. If you put not 1 but 4 locks, you think after breaking 2 locks, the thief will think, oh, this is too difficult. Let me find an easier target. If you put a security camera outside your house and they see that, they go away, oh, we might be recorded. This is not a good house to burgle. So same sort of principles apply here. Look at this date, 1899. Auguste Kirchhoff designed principles for secure communication. What sort of communication are we talking about in 1899? Who can guess or tell me definitely? I'm happy to hear from somebody. Mr. Anil, I can't hear you. You're on mute. Dr. Anil, Mr. Anil. Can you unmute yourself? No? I like to get some audience.
Telegraph, sir.
Yeah. Telegraph, correct. So in 1899, electronic communication was only telegraph. So even that I was talking about, people could break into your telegraph lines and read your messages. So they were already thinking of how to secure it. So he had 6 principles for secure communication and 3 focused on human factors. He said it should be easy to communicate and remember the keys, the security keys. They should be portable. You're easy to take it with you, easy to use and not cause stress and need a series of rules. If it causes stress, what happens is, I might be guilty of that too. I don't make a very strong password or something sometimes. Though I personally have devised a method which doesn't cause me stress, but the passwords are and I can tell you all, people from India, combine your personal language, some words in your language written in English letters and some English, and mix them up in a way that it's difficult to guess for most people around the world, unless and until they know your language. And the other thing Kirchhoff said was the choice of keys should be the individual's choice. Everything else, like the algorithm, should be public knowledge. And that principle has been applied to all communication. So now we're coming to this fact that for more than 25 years, computer security has focused on technology. Humans were treated as components whose behavior can be specified through policies and controlled through security mechanisms and sanctions. If you don't do this, if your password is not so many characters, etc., etc., it will not be accepted. You all know we are implementing that. But the practice has not led to more secure. Largely, it has been ineffective. That's what this paper is saying. It's not me saying. I'm giving you the reports from this thorough study they have carried out. And this study is finding that even well-motivated and trained people could not use email encryption correctly if they had to apply encryption themselves. And people are bypassing password policies. So this is all to do with human behavior. So cybersecurity has identified human factor as the weakest link. Whenever we try to make our communication more secure, usable, and acceptable at the same time. So the usability and the security are like pulling at each other. They are not moving in the same direction, in the opposite direction. Well, now, this is talking about how they conducted research. Now, when researchers, those who are here, researchers, academics, we need to make a model. We need to be able to observe behavior. If you do behavioral science research, which I don't know how many in this group are doing, but I have done over the years, particularly one of my area of research has been, and I give seminars on that, scholarship of teaching and learning, how to improve the learning outcomes of your students. And that has got a lot to do with human behavior. So what we are saying is we need models of human behavior, which do exist in sociology, behavioral science, and apply those to cybersecurity issue. And we always make a conjecture, assume the attitudes or personality traits are assumed to influence human behavior in cybersecurity. With that assumption, they carried out research, and later they will talk about what was the conclusion. So do you think that somebody who is an easygoing person is not going to be very good at making a good password, or the other way around? Well, you might assume something, but a good researcher will not come to that conclusion till they have done thorough research. How such results might be used is the organization screen employees to identify who are likely to be very compliant, who are not likely to be compliant, who are security aware, what is their behavior, and how to modify their behavior. That might be the approach some organization may take. Identify people who are not doing the right thing and then do some indoctrination to try and change their behavior. And then the idea is, or the research question is, does it help? Can you assess the effectiveness of this security awareness and its impact on their behavior? Is it possible that other underlying factors influence how people behave vis-a-vis security, cybersecurity, apart from their personality? Do you think there may be other factors? Okay, just to have a little break from me only talking, give me thumbs up if you think there could be other factors. It's not just personality that might influence. Yeah? Let me see some thumbs up moving up my screen. If you think it is so. And even, I'm just trying to get a feel for next time I give an IEEE lecture, I will announce that if people are not on camera, lots of thumbs up coming now. Oh, I like that. There's a big like sparkle, fireworks, thumbs up was there. That's good. Now, what they have found is that the daily experience is that if the security policies are unworkable, they are too onerous, they are too bothersome, they drive people to non-compliance, irrespective of what their fundamental nature is. Unworkable password policies, which make their life difficult, because if you have a very complicated password, when you have to remember, then, oh gosh, how do you remember? In fact, today, I normally live in Melbourne. I'm in Perth these days, and I downloaded the app for the local bus service. Bus service is fantastic here, called Transport. I had it on the computer. I logged in my card. I had put it in. And then I was standing in the bus stop. I wanted to see what time bus will arrive. You can do that. So I downloaded on my phone their app. And then it asked me to log in. And I said, oh my God, do I remember the password? Well, I was surprised that I did. I guessed because I can share this much. I combined 2-3 languages and they have something to do with the service I'm using. At least one word is in the language that I know. I know quite a few languages, Indian languages, and put in English. I tried and it worked. So, we all are trying to manage our passwords, but we are struggling. I have one laptop which my son had, but we just can't open it. He's forgotten the password. So people have demonstrated way back that a lot of security measures are not sensible, not usable. And especially these updates, which are sometimes so essential for making your system secure. What happens? Just when you're about to attend a seminar or give a seminar, the system starts updating. So that is a big, and the other day I saw on LinkedIn, a cartoon about it's a mission to the Mars, and the boss says to the guy sitting on the computer, come on, calculate the trajectory. And he goes to this, sir, my Windows has started updating. It will take 15 minutes. And he had needed the answer in the next 30 seconds. Well, I'm not denigrating Windows. They were making joke of that, but doesn't happen in Linux. They were comparing Linux with Windows, but we see this installing updates, etc. One good thing has happened today is they ask you, do you want to install now or do you want to set another time for update like night time, etc. So all these policies have changed with time from learning from experience, and that's what we need to keep doing. So even I'm afraid of installing updates because some screen will change, something won't work, that will happen. But I know as an IT academic, you need to install update. I don't know how many of you are scared of updating. Sometimes it slows down the system, introduces unexpected changes to the system. The screen looks different, requires rebooting. You're afraid if you might lose some data. So therefore, it leads to a clear case where we need to educate users for the importance of updates. And of course, make the updating process more painless. Make updates easier by distinguishing between security updates and non-essential, which can be updated during non-working hours. And sometimes you're afraid, is it a genuine update or somebody is trying to install some malware on your computer? How do you distinguish? So that itself becomes a challenge these days. So they're now presenting some studies. Now, one of the things they have found that awareness of security measures plus intention to comply plus self-efficacy. Self-efficacy means their understanding as to how capable they are. When they do it, will they be able to do it correctly? Or if they're stuck somewhere halfway through, the system will fall apart and they won't know how to work with it. What is their confidence in their self? So they sometimes people don't do it, especially if it conflicts with their values as productivity. They're doing some important task. The boss has said, you need to deliver this software or whatever within next half an hour, and they get a message for update. Should I update? Because it might cause problems to my system, or should I keep doing my work right now? So that dilemma can be there. And one of the things they said, they could not really detect through standard questionnaires as to how people behave only when the context of the organizational goals are included in their questionnaire. So once again, I don't know how many are people who have done any research or studied how social science research is done when it's basically based on questionnaires or personal interviews. These are two main methods of social science researches. When you make a questionnaire, wording of the questions, the ordering of the questions, these are all very important factors. So what they are showing is when you're making questions, if you have tunnel vision, there may be other factors that might be ignored, but those factors may be driving the security behavior. So thorough understanding of the technical side is also required, and the knowledge of how to formulate the questionnaire is also very important. And I'm aware of it because I've had research scholars who have done PhD with me in the area of what I called earlier scholarship of teaching and learning, understanding students' behavior, what they like, how we can improve their learning outcomes. It's all about human nature. So you have to apply those social science methodologies to conduct such questionnaires. About over half an hour, I think I should be okay with time. I'm looking at my time. I don't like to overshoot. I like to leave some time for questions if people have. So apart from doing their own research, this organization conducted a systematic review of lots of other publications. And that's another style of research. One research is you conduct the research, carry out the questionnaire. The other type of research is called meta-research, where you look at all the publications in that area and compare them. So there are 478 articles they looked at, and screening for relevance and quality, then narrowed down to 47 studies for detailed review. You know, for when you do research, you always come up with so many papers, hundreds these days. When you Google, you have straight away hit hundreds. Then you have to narrow down which are really close to what research you are doing. And what were the key findings? One of the things they found is that if you are running a survey which relies on self-report of measures, you are telling how you are behaving. Is it going to be necessarily 100%, correct? Will people give? Will they what they are doing exactly in their survey, or will they be afraid to give that? It also depends upon if it is totally anonymous or they think somebody, their boss, might find out as to what they are doing. Are they going to tell correctly or not? So these compliance policies, you look in terms of creating password, carrying out phishing simulations, and see how many go and click on the wrong button. I'm sure you all understand what phishing is. You get an email, click here, or a SMS message these days, click here. We're getting it all the time. Oh, you got this fine. My daughter the other day said, I got an SMS that my, the road toll is through a pass which sits on the car. I got an SMS that it is expired. I said, don't even touch it. I'm controlling that. You don't even have anything to do with it. It's totally a phishing, this thing. So people have to become aware. So one of the methods to carry out research is to do phishing simulation. People don't know in your organization you are sending a phishing message. Find out how many actually click on it. Adopt secure practices, diary keeping of backups, passively collecting data. So this is talking, I won't go into too much detail, but I'm just building the big picture that there is, and we will come at the end towards what you need to do in your organization. You need to carry out this type of research, but the details can be quite complicated. We don't have time to go into details. Paucity of models, that is lack of information, how to carry out this research. That's also what they felt, people who have written this paper. But they have still presented 3 models, which we'll talk about: protection motivation theory, theory of planned behavior, general deterrent theory. These are theories used in criminal science and social sciences. Well, I hope you're paying some attention to this cartoon here. It sounds rather nasty. This man pushing, it looks like a doctor, this lady to behavioral engineers saying, can you reprogram her? So this is pointing to the fact, are the bosses in organization thinking that they can reprogram their employees to, do the right thing? Well, here in the end, it's talking about what is said here, paucity of models, that these models are not giving us as robust results as we want, but nonetheless, let us see what these models are. Did I go back? I did go back. So here are the diagrams of these models. We'll briefly talk about them. So PMT, protection motivation theory. What is it saying? What is my motivation going to be to protect my data? You look at the severity and vulnerability minus the rewards, and that equal to the threat. Or in parallel is response efficacy. How effective you think is response going to be, and self-efficacy, meaning how confident you are that you can handle it. Efficacy is a word which combines efficiency and effectiveness. When something is efficient as well as effective, we say it is efficacious. So again, in terms of response, we look at response efficacy, self-efficacy minus response cost. Now, what can be the cost? Not always rupee or dollar cost. It's the cost of time, cost of what you're doing, putting stop to that and going towards the security measure. And then you appraise, it's okay, if something happens, I'll be open. Sometimes I think, this website, I don't care if somebody hacks into it. It's not my bank. I have to be very careful and similar. So you say, I don't want to waste my time on this. This happens to us. So all this from this we can derive our protection motivation, how motivated we are to protect our data on a particular system, particular website, etc. And I'm just showing you these models right now. We are not doing any detailed work on this here. We don't have time for it. Theory of planned behavior, it starts with attitude towards behavior, subjective norms, perceived behavioral control. These lead to intention. Once again, these are behavioral science models, and from intention, it leads to behavior. You can see this connection definitely. What is your intention? I want to go and see a movie tonight, and then you go and see a movie. So intention leads to behavior. Well, where does that intention come from? Your attitude towards behavior. Do you like movies? What are your subjective norms? I have an exam today, I can't go to a movie, or I can go to a movie even if I have exam tomorrow. That's your subjective norms, your personal norms that you have set for yourself. And perceived behavioral control is, I don't know if some of you are students, what are my parents going to say? You got exam today, tomorrow, and you're going for a movie today? So there are behavioral controls, self-controls, other society controls, other people controls. So we could use this model. This is what this paper is saying. One of the models could be used to carry out investigations vis-a-vis human behavior towards cybersecurity. Another model, they show general deterrence theory. Certainty, severity, legitimacy lead to compliance. How certain is that if somebody attacks you, like I've talked about, as soon as my daughter said, I got an SMS, it's like this, I was very certain this is not a genuine SMS. Please do not even touch it, just delete it. Severity, how badly it can affect us. Can they steal thousands of dollars or even more from a bank account? That's highly severe. Legitimacy, when somebody gives a call, you've got calls like that. I don't know if you got, more than once I've got, the tax, you haven't paid your tax and the tax collector police is standing outside your home unless and until you pay us this much money. A lot of people get these calls. There are people have lost Australia-wide millions of dollars, people who don't know these are spurious calls. So all of these type of behaviors we need to consider into the human aspect of cybersecurity. And these are further expansions about protection motivation theory, how to balance the severity and likelihood with the ways of coping with it. That's what I was talking about a moment ago. And what they're saying, studies have shown that the role of threat motivation towards protection is generally weak or neutral, even negative. This is interesting, isn't it? That people are not taking it very seriously. And if organizations start punishing their employees, that has led to backfire. Not more, it can lead to less compliance. It's counterintuitive, isn't it? And I'm not saying it's correct or not. I'm reporting what they have reported in this paper. It is totally counterintuitive. If you know your boss is going to be very unhappy if you don't use secure password, then you should be using a secure password. But I can tell you, I know from children's behavior, what you tell them, they'll do exactly opposite. There is a child in all of us. I don't know if you ever studied, there is a theory where in each one of us, we have a parent, an adult, and a child. I've studied that psychology theory in detail. And the child in us is always rebelling. No, I don't want to do this if somebody's telling me to do this. You have forgotten that the child in you is still behaving like that, if not you in particular. In general, I'm saying human beings. Yeah, you should study that theory. And I've talked about it. It's just explaining in works in the efficacy of response and own ability, self-efficacy. That is your confidence that you will be able to do it right. If you don't have confidence in yourself and you feel that this threat is not big enough threat, then you may not take the action. I'm going to take a little sip of chai to lubricate my throat. So they've written in PMT and TPB models, coping self-efficacy was a reliable, moderately strong predictor of cybersecurity intention and behavior. We've seen intention will lead to behavior. Will it change our intention? Moderately strong predictor, not full predictor, because there are other factors. So I've underlined the final conclusion, and I'll read it in full for a change. This suggests I'll highlight the last one. This suggests that interventions that seek to improve users' ability to respond appropriately to cyber threats and believe that those responses will be effective is more likely to yield positive results than campaigns based around stressing the threat. Did you understand? Quite a long statement. So what is going to help more? The belief, I will again highlight this, that the response will be effective. And I will add to it, which is not written here, the cost to me. And what is the cost? Not a rupee or dollar cost. It's the cost of my time, the cost of leaving what I'm doing. Suppose I get a pop-up on my computer right now. I'm giving this lecture. Or please update your Microsoft PowerPoint. I'm using PowerPoint. Do you think I should be updating it? No, it's going to interrupt my presentation. And I'm going to guess, oh, maybe I can update it. I don't think it's a big security threat, but maybe it is. Another thing they looked at is, do demographics, means age, gender, and other aspects of human aspect, does it make any difference? So they found mixed results, with both older and younger users often being found to be vulnerable. So young people not taking too much care, oldies like me not taking too much care, and gender only sometimes linked to security behavior. So it doesn't matter male or female, or maybe they found a little bit of correlation. That's what they're saying, not too much. I'm thinking, who will be more thorough, males or females? Huh? Are there two different type of reactions? If you think males will be more thorough, give me a thumbs up. And if you think females will be more thorough, let me do a study right now. Give me something else. What is the other reaction you can give apart from thumbs up? What are the different reactions? Send a reaction. Oh, there are quite a few reactions. Thumbs up and the thumbs down is not. Clap for female and thumbs up for male. Let's see how many come. I need a break from talking. You guys, please do some work. Okay. Thumbs up for female. Okay. Okay. I'm getting a bit of both. All right. So this is the very small survey I have conducted, and it's a balance almost, if you have noticed. Yeah. So we shouldn't worry too much about that. So it cannot predict our behavior in vis-a-vis security. Now there are a few case studies. How am I going with time? I'm coming to 1 hour time. What I'm not going to necessarily cover all the following slides fully. I'm just show you what is there, so that if you want to grab the PowerPoint from those who have organized it and read more about it. By and large, you should go to this paper, and many references I have, you should go and read about it. So this case study of phishing, and they all apply to what I've talked already. Review of qualitative and mixed method studies. So if you know, there are two types of studies, qualitative and quantitative, and there are mixed methods. So in this slide, they're talking about how should studies be carried out. And we don't have enough time. It can be a lecture, in at least 1 hour lecture in itself. Yeah. But what connection it has to the final conclusion, we'll make it up when we come to the final slide here. So there are mixed method studies for investigation. And this, I can handle it group. It's out of my control group. So they're trying to divide people into two types in this case. People who have confidence, I can handle it. The other saying, I can't do anything. And that starts with the intention. And that intention will lead to action. If you remember that connection we made earlier. And it has that similarity with self-efficacy, having confidence. Yes, I'm good enough to do it. So in that case, the TPB is the methodology, can be good method for investigating and researching. So I have come to this final slide before I go to the cases that happened in Australia, give you, how bad it can become. So what's the final summary and learning outcomes? You have spent 1 hour almost with me. You should go home with some clear understanding, because there are a lot of words. Too many words can be confusing. First thing, technical cybersecurity measures do not exist in vacuum. Meaning, if you implement all the technical stuff, it's not necessarily going to make your system much more secure. These need to operate in harmony with people. So you need to be aware of human psychology, human behavioral science you need to study. If you want to become a cybersecurity expert, by and large, I'm aware people who do cybersecurity courses, they focus on technical aspect. And this organization, ENISA, or whatever you want to call it, has conducted evidence-based reviews. Now, in science, we talk about evidence-based, not just my conjecture, what I think, what I guess. You have to conduct research, have evidence for it. And based on social sciences and on current practices within the organization, actually a combination of the two. And what they found is many ignored the context in which cybersecurity behavior is occurring. And they propose a model of awareness analysis and intervention by management, CISOs, Chief Information Security Officer, and other security specialists, often employed by companies to help them. And by the way, in today, Australia has realized, as I'll show you, because of cybersecurity problem, it needs thousands upon thousands of more cybersecurity experts. It's a very good area to study today. With that, let's look at what has happened in Australia in recent past. 29 billion every year are lost because of cybersecurity breaches. 53% of the cost is incurred on detection and recovery. First detecting that it has happened, and then recovering your data or doing something, and something is not recoverable. I will talk about one of these, which I'm also in as a user involved. My data has been stolen. I'll talk about it in a moment. And average cost of incurred by business on a single breach, $276,000, roughly $250,000. And these data breaches are affecting millions of Australians. I don't have data on India. You can go and look up. I'm sure it will be available somewhere. And it is on the increase. Malicious and criminal attacks. In 2020, 350, up 41%. Human error is a bit down. Greater focus on human aspects have been, implemented. System faults, system not behaving properly, programming side, etc., coding side. It's not that the technical aspects are not important. They are also important. You have to take those into account all the time. So they're also up. Now, we can look at it very briefly. Various Canva is a system we are using in our organization Generation also. 137 million users affected in 2019. Optus is our mobile telephone company, 9.8 million customers in September. It was a big news on all our news channels. I don't know if you have news about such things in India. I don't know, Proctor, you people. Now it's good. Australian National University, 200,000 students. Eastern Health Services. Well, it's not listing the Medibank private one. One of the biggest is our private health cover, and I'm a member of it. And I got an email. First of all, it was big news. They had a big data breach. And then they contacted the customers whose data was breached. I got an email too. My data is somewhere on the dark web today. Neither they can do anything. It's already gone to the dark web. What they had to do was protect it in the first place. But it's becoming more and more difficult. As you can see, there are so many other organizations which have been affected, including the West Australian Parliament in 2021. So politicians' data has been lost. I don't think anybody's crying about it, but it's not a good thing. This is the final take-home message. For all practitioners, you start with awareness that human beings are important in the cycle of cybersecurity. You carry out analysis, and we have shared there are various models, methods to carry out analysis. There could be more out there, which is the most appropriate for your organization. You need to do some research in that. Plan. Once you analyze as to what's not working, what's working, plan, implement the plan, but evaluate and iterate means repeat, keep doing this cycle all the time. And that's the industry model these days. We never think we have reached the ultimate, whatever we are doing. There is always room for improvement. So you have to be prepared constantly to be learning more and investigating and implementing and looking for ways to improve. And with that, I will say thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to take any questions, if I can answer. Yeah? We have half an hour for Q&A. Am I going to get any questions or just comments as well? Comments are welcome. Shall I stop sharing so that I can see more people? Let's see how many stop presenting. Yes. Let me see. My God, hardly any cameras are open. Next time if I give a IEEE lecture, I will make it compulsory. Yeah. Jacob Philip, please open your mic and camera if you are really there, even if you are in a bus on a mobile phone. I have to cough, I'm going on mute.
Hello? Wait a second, I can't hear a thing.
You know why you couldn't hear? Because I was on mute.
Oh.
This is the most fair. By the way, Jacob, tell me, why didn't you keep your camera on before?
I'm not in my best shape.
What do you mean not your best shape? This is not a modeling competition. Guys, I'm telling you, all of you, this is almost an insult to the presenter if you don't turn your camera on. Everybody, turn your camera on. Who cares about what you're looking like? Handsome looking young man, and he thinks he's not good. Okay, Muhammad, thank you. Who else is game enough to open the camera? Rajesh, very well done. Madan, thank you. Okay, I'm liking this. Camera's coming on. Okay. Niladhari, Sai, very good.
No, sir, it's Niladri.
Niladri. Okay. Oh, yes. A is after L. Niladri. Okay. I tried to connect with whatever little Sanskrit I know. Niladri. It's a new word for me. Okay. So who's giving me a comment or question? Anything you want to say, you're welcome. Niladri.
Sir, I'm Anil.
Yes,
the
Anil.
protection motivation theory, then theory of planned behavior, then what else? The third theory, general deterrence theory. All were very interesting to hear from a senior lecturer like you. And in fact, we in IEEE Kerala section, we are planning to have a distinguished lecture program of from an EDSOC faculty. We'd be glad to have one from you, sir.
Look, I'm always happy, but you have to make a condition that cameras have to be on and people have to be interactive. You can ask Saranya, who's attending my classes. I'm constantly interacting with people.
Yeah. Sure, sir. That I will keep it as a precondition, a prior condition for attending the webinar.
Yes. Very good. Any other, Jacob, how did you find, what did you learn? Tell me, what's one take-home message you got?
Instead of the behavioral things, I was thinking about the technical things. You were saying that it was very difficult to remember passwords, right? So I had a question actually. What is your take on password generators and password managers?
My take is I would want to have my own password. The generated password, how will I remember? Like I gave the practical example of this afternoon.
You don't remember, right? You can you have password managers in Google accounts itself.
Yeah. Now, are you sure they will never be broken into?
Well, they're quite strong.
So this is again a personal thing. Everything I do, I don't want to save only on online systems. I save them offline as well. Suppose my internet is not working, then what happens? That's for data I'm talking about. I have always external drive. Similarly, I know all these breaches are occurring in every big company. So whatever technology we use, I have more confidence that the passwords I create, and I've told you the technique. I'm combining multiple languages. I have at least 2 words with some numbers in between, and I try to connect them to the system it is. So far, earlier I used to use one password. I got from Google that this has been compromised, all these, and I was using only one. And this is 20 years ago when we started doing it, and I had to change all those. So I personally, again, it might be to do with my age. I like to have more control myself, generate my password. Okay. And that's only a personal opinion. It is not a technical answer to what you are asking. Are they good enough or not good enough? So once again, you see the human factor is coming in. What I think about it is coming to it, isn't it? Without fully evaluating how good, I don't have the time to evaluate how secure is Google's system. Rajesh, how did you find it?
Actually, when human beings are interacting with any technical systems, the human behavior is more important.
That's what we are trying to present today, or at least equally important, but you're right. But it can be the weakest link, and sometimes can be the strongest link. And we want it to be the strongest link, not the weakest link. Rajesh, would you like to make some comment, ask a question? Thank you for opening your camera. What happened? Turn the camera off. And similarly, I think...
Sir, I had one doubt.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, from the previous question as well, so Jacob mentioned that there are many password generators. So while we're making any account on any of the platforms, there is something known as password preferences. So there are passwords that is given to us by the website only. So what is your take on this? Should people be because that creates it a very easy task
for you to get over with creating your account, right? Because the password is thereafter saved on your browser. So you need not worry about, actually curating something. So I wanted to ask you about your take on this. Like, should people be okay with doing so, or that is not a very safe approach towards it?
Well, I'll just say, almost repeating what I said, I personally will not feel comfortable for complicated password, especially, and not complicated password. Again, that's a personal attitude. The human nature is coming in. Who I am, what I am, the way I think. I want to have some control over my systems. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm not answering that. I have never allowed any system to give me a password.
Okay, so like it's just a personal preference. Like
it's a personal preference. It's not answering your technical question.
Okay, so it's just about not being reliable to the internet that
not being confident, not being comfortable giving authority to the system completely.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Password is for me, it is as much about me, just like my name. I would like somebody to rename me.
Yes, sir.
So actually, this threat appraisal is something which is related to the age of the human being. Like when a person gets older, his appraisal about threat will increase. I used to observe. Like that.
Is it? Okay. But I want to tell you about name. When you come to a country like Australia, some people try to change your name to English name to try and, make. So my name is very simple, Nalin. But I met somebody many years ago and he said, "Oh, I'll call you, I don't even remember, John or something." I said, "Why?" "It's easier." I said, "I'll call you Ramu." He said, "Why?" I said, "It's easier for me." So it's as personal as my name. Why do you want to change my name? If I want to shorten my name, Nalin to Nell or whatever, which I don't need to, that's my choice. Not somebody else giving me a new name. Well, I think we've had a little bit of chat, which I like to do always with my attendees in any seminar. Thank you for those who have participated.
Yeah. Thank you, Nalan sir. It was good to know that cybersecurity is connected with the behavior of a person. That was interesting to know from this lecture. Yeah, thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining. Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay. Shall we say goodbye?
Goodbye, sir.
Sayonara. Shubhratri.
Just a second, sir. So I would request everyone to switch on their camera. So we'll take one more picture with you to make this event.
I would love that if people are ready to open. I don't know. You don't have to even comb your hair. Don't worry about it. Oh gosh, very few are.
Request everyone to please turn on their cameras for just 2 minutes, taking a picture.
Yeah. Oh, Venkatesh has even left the meeting. He's so scared of turning the camera on. Lakshmi Deepa has opened. Thank you. Jacob is already there. Madhan is there. Well, you better take like this, which proves that people don't turn their camera on till you put them. Sindhu is opening. Rahul is opening, but we see only the fan. Rahul, we want to see you. Okay, thank you. Yeah, the lectures don't have to be boring. That's my principle. Okay, would you like to take the photo now, Nivedita?
Yes, so there were a few people that were joining. So, yeah.
Oh, they're still joining. Okay.
Yeah, they were rejoining, basically. They might have had any internet issue.
Okay.
So, yeah. 1, 2, 3. Cheers. Done.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you.
So
Thank
just
you, sir.
a-
Thank you so much.
Another one?
I would like, yes, sir, there's one vote of thanks that awaits.
Okay.
So I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Nalin Chawta, sir, for taking his time out to share his knowledge and exposure with our audience today. Your way of explaining the concepts in an interesting manner kept our audience acquitted throughout the session. And we were very pleased to have your presence today. Lastly, I would also like to, and this is a token of appreciation to you for gracing this session with your presence. Lastly, I would like to thank our participants for staying active throughout the event. Signing off as the moderator for this session. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Do I get a physical memento or I just a virtual one? I accept. Thank you. It was fun presenting. Lovely to meet you. Happy to meet people again. Anilji, if you want, you please.
Sir, I'll definitely call you for one distinguished lecture program of IEEE Kerala itself.
Okay. Oh, I haven't visited Kerala ever. I need to go to the God's country physically later, virtually right now, in the near future. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
All right then.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Okay. I'm logging.